Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We are sitting here from Snow Central. Actually, not too bad with this nor'easter. Didn't really hit us as hard as we feared. Looks like, maybe 4 to 5 inches of snow out there from what I can tell. Nothing major, but, annoying enough that it's going to make it difficult to go anywhere. That said, instead of going somewhere, I feel that we are going to hunker right here. And yesterday we had some really cool history by mail, so I figured why not continue the history thing? Because in my possession, courtesy of my sister for this past Christmas, we're going to get rid of the, we're just going to drive that right into the stand. That's exactly what we're going to do. We have 1945, the end of World War II, from Historic Autographs Company, 2021. I've seen Milo at Trading Cards open some of this stuff, and I've always wanted to get some of it, and my sister came through. Historic Autographs has chronicled the year 1945 because of the monumental importance of the end of World War II. This trading card series tells the year-long story of one of the most influential years in world history. Although centered around the events of World War II that occurred in 1945, other events, people, and achievements are also highlighted. And as you can see, we can get cut autos, historic DNA hair autographs, dog tags, challenge coins. Well, here's something in there. That's a good sign. And here's the odds. We got some interesting stuff. So we've got 6 packs. I do hear something rattling around in there. Pardon me. So I'm going to assume that's going to be a great sign. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packs. We're going to keep this here so we can check out the odds if we get anything good. And there was something rattling. So let's see. Okay. But either way, let's get in, sit back, and enjoy some history from 1945, trading card style. And I am really, really looking forward to this. So, sister of mine, thank you so much. I'm going to have to actually text you to remind you to watch this if you want to. And let's get into it and see what we got. We've got Harry O'Neill killed, 1945. Harry O'Neill killed on Iwo Jima. Harry O'Neill was the last of only 2 Major League Baseball players killed in World War II. After being injured in the Battle of Saipan, Harry returned to his Marine unit for the assault on Iwo Jima, paid the ultimate price on March 6, 1945, when a sniper's bullet found its mark. Is there... Oh, it says Axis? Are these like little... That's weird. But if he's Marine Corps, he wouldn't be Axis. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but yeah, that definitely has Axis written in there. Very interesting. Okay. So now we've got Allied Jackie Robinson. Well, right. Jackie Robinson re-signs with the Montreal Royals. Scouted from a handful of Negro League players, Jackie was not selected because he was the best player in the Negro Leagues, but rather because Branch Rickey believed he had the courage not to fight back if provoked on a matter of race. And this is numbered. I was going to say this is some sort of red, but it is numbered 1. Because the other one didn't have that. The card number was up there, 123 of 199. Thank you. Jackie believed that he had the courage as well and signed a minor league contract with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Batted .349 his 1 year in Montreal and was starting in Brooklyn the following year. Ooh, Pottstown, PA. There we go. Second card in, and we got us a numbered Jackie Robinson. There we go. We got Big Mac, the original Big Mac, Supreme Commander MacArthur. Views of him have changed over the years. Now, is there... Yeah, and for some reason, this one says Allies, but the Marine Corps guy had Axis. No idea why. MacArthur is Supreme Commander... Supreme Commander Allied Powers in Japan. While governance of post-war Germany fell to the four occupying powers, all of those responsibilities in Japan fell on the shoulders of MacArthur. He was the sole government in Japan until 1949, when he arranged to have governmental responsibilities of Japan transferred from the Supreme Commander back to Japan's native rulers. A little bit of... Oh, okay, I was going to say, is that something on there? No, but we got us a MacArthur. There we go, another sports one, the NBL Championship. The Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons, wonder who they became, won their second straight basketball championship by defeating the Sheboygan Redskins 3-2. Oh, in the best-of-5 series. Like, come on now. The Pistons were led by Coach of the Year, his second straight award, and League MVP, his third of 4 consecutive MVP awards, Bobby McDermott. Well, that is one heck of a resume. These are fun. Betty Lou Oliver. Not familiar. A B-25 Mitchell bomber on its way to Newark Airfield in near zero visibility struck the Empire State Building on July 28, 1945. Did not know that. Causing 14 deaths and over $1 million in damage. It also caused Betty Lou Oliver to get stuck in the elevator she was operating. When the cables supporting the elevator eventually broke, Betty Lou fell 75 stories and only suffered a broken ankle. She set a Guinness World Record for surviving the longest elevator fall. 75 stories and only broken ankle. And I would do worse than that falling out of bed. Microwave oven patented. Let's go 1945. That guy. Percy Spencer was working with a cavity magnetron which produced short wavelengths required for shortwave radar used. By the Allied forces when he realized that a chocolate bar in his pocket had melted. He then tested his theory of why it melted by cooking popcorn and an egg. Then further refined his technique by placing the magnetron in a box to focus the waves. By August of 1945, the testing was sufficient for his employer Raytheon to file for a patent on the process. Let's go microwave! Battle of the South China Sea. Here we go. Now we're getting into, there we go, some photography. January of 1945, Fast Carrier Task Force 38 proceeded to the South China Sea after the Battle of Leyte Gulf. While there, they attacked Japanese shipping near Hong Kong and Formosa, which is now Taiwan, sinking 41 ships. Medium and heavy bombers also raided Japanese-held ports across the South China Sea area. As a result of the air and submarine attacks, the Japanese ceased sending ships through the South China Sea in April of 1945. That's how you do that. Bert Shepard. There we go. Bert Shepard pitches. World War II P-38 pilot Bert Shepard was shot down over Germany on his 34th mission. Wow. Pardon me, this is going to be a lot of reading. His life was saved by a German doctor, but his leg could not be saved, and he was sent to a POW camp where he learned to walk with a prosthesis. After his release, he was back in the States and impressed Clark Griffith enough to be hired as a pitching coach for the Senators. In the second game of the Senators' fourth consecutive doubleheader, wow, they fell far behind the Red Sox, and Shepard was called upon to pitch. He went 5 1/3 innings, only giving up 3 hits and 1 run. That's not bad for anybody. Betty Grable, an absolute legend and icon. Betty Grable was a popular actress, dancer, singer, model, and pinup girl known for her $1 million legs and her work on stage, film, and radio. Between 1941 and 1951, she was listed as on the top 10 money-making stars poll and was the leading female earner in 1945. And still to this day, true icon. Last card of the first one. General George Patton dies. Oh, that's right, he did die. 1945. December 8th, 1945, Patton's car struck a slow-moving army truck, causing Patton to strike his head on the glass partition separating the front and back portions of the car. The strike fractured his third and fourth vertebrae, caused him to be paralyzed from the neck down. Passed away 13 years later in the hospital, having lamented, "This is a hell of a way to die." And considering what he went through, it is definitely ironic. Hang on one second. I've got to take care of something real quick. I'll be right back. Apologies. I had to blow my nose and get some coffee. Pack number 2. We're already at the 10-minute mark. This is going to be a long one, so settle in because history is worth it. There we go. Batman and Robin meet Superman. Not what you would expect. Comic universe crossovers are currently all the rage. On March 3rd, March 3rd, 1945, DC superhero Superman and the duo Batman and Robin meet for the first time, not in print, but in the popular radio serial The Adventures of Superman. Superman needed help tracking down kryptonite, and Batman steps in to help. Well, he could have just used some of the ones that he's set aside just in case he needs to take down Superman. Lord Ha-Ha captured. Confused, but okay. In an attempt to discourage morale among the Allied troops, the Nazis broadcast false news and propaganda across the radio waves. We knew that. The most famous of the broadcasters was William Joyce, an American raised in Ireland and a devout fascist nicknamed Lord Ha-Ha. Ha-Ha. Well, he was captured near the Danish border and eventually tried and hanged for treason in 1946 by the British government. Well, take that. Tommy Brown, back to the diamond. With most able-bodied men serving in the Army, Major League Baseball started recruiting younger and younger players to field the teams. Also, as we saw in the fantastic movie, the Ladies League popped up. Brown made his professional debut with the Dodgers in 1944 at age 16. He homered for the Dodgers the following year, becoming the youngest player to hit a home run in a Major League Baseball game at the age of 17. Yeah, I couldn't even do it now. Whoops. Battleship Yamato sunk. This is actually one, as I was looking through the checklist, this is one of the cards I really wanted to get. What an incredible story about the Yamato. The largest battleship ever built was the single most powerful ship in the Pacific Theater during World War II. With the majority of the Japanese fleet having been dispatched by the American Navy, the Yamato was ordered to Okinawa to protect the island from invasion at all costs. On her way to Okinawa, she was spotted by naval aviators and attacked. It took no less than 11 torpedo hits and several bombs to finally sink the Yamato, and that was the ship of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Winston Churchill defeated. By Clement Attlee. The British Labour Party refused to accept Churchill's proposal to keep the wartime coalition in place until the Japanese were defeated. With the election taking place 2 months after VE Day, the Labour Party routed the election, gaining control of Parliament for the first time since 1924 and gaining 239 seats. That's a lot. Hey, Jimmy Fox retired. I know that name. At the age 37, Jimmy Fox retires after playing his final season with the Philadelphia Phillies with a batting average of .268. He retired as the number 2 home run hitter of all time behind only Babe Ruth. Captured 3 MVP awards, a Triple Crown, 9 All-Star berths, 2 batting titles, and 3 RBI titles. That is one heck of a career. 19, we got Kentucky beats Arkansas State. If there's such a thing as a field day in basketball, the Kentucky Wildcats had one last night when they swamped the Arkansas State Travelers 75-6. Looking at you, NCAA, maybe it's about time we do something with the scoring 63-3 in a bowl game. Wrote Bob Adair in the Lexington Herald. Coach Tomlinson of the Travelers explained he had some very good prospects when the game was scheduled, but that all of them were inducted into the armed services. Altogether, Arkansas State lost 18 players since November. Well, that explains the 75-6, unfortunately. Here we go, VE Day. The surrender signed by the Nazis indicated that all hostilities would end at 11:01, that's for military time, on May 8th, 1945. And that's PM, by the way. At this time, the war in Europe was officially over. Upon the defeat of Germany, celebrations erupted throughout the Western world, especially in the UK and North America. More than 1 million people celebrated in the streets throughout the UK to mark the end of the European part of the war. I wonder if we're going to get the picture of the famous, let's see if I missed anything numbered-wise, of the famous Times Square picture of the sailor kissing I believe it was a nurse, who we found out later they didn't even know each other at the time. Duke Ellington, into the music room. Focus, thank you. Okay, at least it has him listed as the Allies. Duke Ellington was an American music composer and band leader who earned a Pulitzer Prize in music after his death. Did not know that. In 1945, his composition, I'm Beginning to See the Light, was on several top song hit lists and was recorded by several artists. His career spanned 60 years. One heck of a career. We got the 1945 NFL Championship, World's Professional Football Championship. Again, kids, this would be 23 or 22 years before the first Super Bowl was held, even though it wasn't at $4.80. Get out of here. The game was decided by a safety as a first quarter Sammy Baugh pass struck the goalpost, which at the time were on the goal line. This is true. Not at the back of the end zone. By the rule of the day, this was a safety, and Washington lost to the Rams 15-14. The play and championship loss would lead to a rule change known as the Baugh-Marshall rule, which made any forward pass that struck the goalpost to be ruled an incomplete pass. The rule was in effect until 1974 when the goalposts were moved to the back of the end zone. You think about that. Where was that? Until 1974, the goalposts were literally on the goal line. Danger. Oop, I got a I see congratulations something. So that is going to sit there at the end because there's something. Yep, there's a thick boy hiding there. We're going to go thick boy last. Let's go. Let's blow through this and get to our thicky boy and just see what in the world we were able to get. I am having a blast with this stuff. I know it's going to be a long video, and unfortunately it is what it is, but we have to enjoy the history. The Battle of Iwo Jima. Beautiful shots. Only 20,000 Japanese troops defended an 8-square-mile volcanic island in the Ogasawara, archipelago. The 110,000 U.S. troops that landed on the island suffered a 25% casualty rate during the month-long battle, while the Japanese defenders suffered a 90% mortality rate. After Iwo Jima was declared secured, about 3,000 Japanese soldiers were left alive in the island's worn caves of the tunnels. Those who could not bring themselves to commit suicide hid in the caves during the day and came out at night to prowl for provisions. We got a red, maybe another numbered card. Manila is liberated. There we go. Yep, another numbered. Thank you. Out of 199. American and Filipino troops encircled Manila in early February, prompting Douglas MacArthur to report that Manila had been recaptured. His assessment was a bit premature as building-to-building fighting ensued over the next month. Again, part of the reason why the opinions of MacArthur are a little different now. American casualties were over 6,000 men, 16,000 Japanese soldiers were killed, and over 100,000 civilians would die in the fierce urban battle before the capital could be secured. Doug. Oh, Russia enters the Pacific War. And at the time, that was a good thing for us. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki had been decimated by atomic bombs, Stalin saw the Japanese were defeated and chose to fulfill his obligation of the Yalta Conference by opening a second Allied front against the Japanese. His communist troops quickly moved into Mongolia, Manchuria, and the Korean Peninsula. Manchuria, northern region of China, has not been called that, although it was the fictional home of the late great Gorilla Monsoon. Simon Bolivar Buckner Jr. That's a heck of a name. Son of another Confederate lieutenant general. I'm going to stick with that because that's how the explorer was pronounced. Simon Bolivar Buckner Jr., I get, but probably Simon, was the highest-ranking officer to be killed in action during World War II. He was killed by coral shrapnel 300 yards from the front lines during the Battle of Okinawa while at an observation post. After a flat trajectory, Japanese shell struck the coral outcropping near him. That's sadly ironic. Control of Okinawa. On June 22, 1945, the U.S. Army and U.S. Marines finally gained control of Okinawa after a bloody land and sea battle with the Imperial Japanese Army that lasted about 3 months. This battle was so fierce and demoralizing, including many kamikaze attacks, that it set the stage for the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The ferocity of this battle helped to cement Truman's decision to use the atomic bomb. Now, when I was teaching history, I actually did get a hold of a copy of Truman's journal regards to the atomic bomb, and what a decision to have to make. That is all I will say. Milton Hershey dies. Rest in peace, the Hershey guy in PA. The candy magnate who developed his own town for production. That's true. Hershey, Pennsylvania was built for the Hershey Company. Passed away at the age of 88. He lived to receive the Army-Navy E Award for exceeding expectations for quality and quantity with the production of chocolate ration bars for the soldiers during World War II. Wow. His factory was producing over 24 million ration bars per week during the war. That's why, kids, the industrial machine. The Yankees were sold. Really? January 13th, 1939, Jacob Ruppert, owner of the Yankees, died and left the bulk of his estate in 3 equal shares to his 2 nieces and Helen Wyant, a longtime acquaintance and daughter of a deceased friend. Ruppert, however, did not, leave the actual operation of his 2 principal businesses, his brewery and the Yankees, to the women. He turned the Yankees over to a board, naming general manager Ed Barrow as president, with director George Weiss and his brother George Ruppert. In January of 1945, the Yankees were sold to Larry McPhail, Dan Topping, and Del Webb. Interesting. Nagasaki. Oh, that's just... what can you say? Despite the damage caused by the bombing of Hiroshima, the Japanese refused to surrender. President Truman, still trying to save American lives, then authorized the dropping of a second nuclear weapon, nicknamed Fat Man, which took place at 11:02 a.m. And the little boy was the the one they dropped on Hiroshima earlier. Gary Cooper. Who else is thinking the Young Frankenstein scene? You should be. Gary Cooper, famous Hollywood leading man, started his career in silent films. In 1945, he was nominated as Best Actor by the New York Film Critics Circle Award for the movie Along Came Jones. Don't think I've ever seen that one. During his career, he appeared in a wide variety of film genres and was a top moneymaker. He favored roles of action and adventure. Do not blame him. And the final card of this pack, the Rhineland Offensive. Part of General Eisenhower's broad front strategy, it was a series of 5 operations with the overall objective of capturing the Rhineland, Germany, and all territory west of the Rhine River, ultimately facilitating passage over the Rhine. These Allied offensive operations by the 21st Army Group were commanded by Bernard Montgomery from February 8th to March 25th, 1945. Okay, apologies. Needed another little break, and the camera shut off, so we're going to start a part 2 and splice them together. Pack number 4, because this one is open, but there's something hiding, and we don't want to spoil that yet, so we're going to take our time. And that's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying taking my time, looking back through some history. I hope you're taking your time. This is going to be a very long video, so please... don't feel any sort of need to watch it all at once. Take your time, bounce around, please. Let's just enjoy this. That's what it's all about. General Bradley. We're getting some good ones. On March 12, 1945, Omar Bradley was awarded the 4th star and obtained the rank of general. In the ensuing years, he would become the 13th individual and to date the last. That's right. To achieve the 5-star rank, which I believe is usually only reserved for wartime these days. The 1915 West Point graduate was a star athlete playing on the 1914 NCAA National Championship team. Now that I did not know. We've got 2 numbered, something hiding. Here we go. Hey, sorry Canada. The last time you're going to see anyone winning the cup, it will be in black and white. 1945 NHL Championship. Excuse me. The Maple Leafs won the first 3 games of the series without giving up a single goal. The Red Wings got their offense on track, winning Game 4 5-3, and then proceeded to shut up the Leafs in the next 2 games. With the series tied 3-3, the Leafs prevailed 2-1 on the road in Detroit to win the Stanley Cup. But of course, that was back in the time of 6 teams. We got the USS Illinois BB-65, BB for battleship. And this is, I was going to say this is the one that would be canceled because they only made 4 of those. The Missouri, the Iowa, the New Jersey, and Oh, crap. What was the fourth one? I can't remember. We'll think of it in a minute. The keel had been laid on December 6, 1942 at the Philadelphia Navy Yard for another Iowa-class battleship, the Illinois. With the bombing at Hiroshima and the U.S. sensing the end of the war, construction of the battleship Illinois was canceled by the U.S. government. It would have taken 13 years to break down what had been built in only 3 wartime years. All right. Missouri, New Jersey... Missouri, all right, hang on. That's going to drive me nuts. I need to just take a minute and stare out the window and think. All right, truth be told, I had to look it up. But yes, it was the Missouri, the New Jersey, the Iowa, and the Wisconsin were the 4 that were built. Illinois and Kentucky were canceled, and that's what some people think. The USS Arizona was not one of the battleship classes that the Missouri is, but the Missouri, that's where she sits now, is in Hawaii. The others are museum ships around the country. Bernard Law Montgomery. There we go. Field Marshal Montgomery of Great Britain became the first non-Soviet and only the 11th person to be awarded the Order of Victory. It was awarded for conducting combat operations involving one or more army groups, resulting in successful operation within the framework of one or several fronts, resulting in radical change of the situation in favor of the Red Army. Man, even in 1945, the government and military jargon was off the charts. I see a boat. The USS Indianapolis sunk. What a thing. The top secret mission to deliver half the world's supply of enriched uranium to supply Little Boy with its nuclear punch fell to the USS Indianapolis. The ship delivered its cargo to Tinian Island on July 26 and continued on to Guam. Setting sail for the Philippines, she was attacked and sunk by a Japanese submarine. Her failure to arrive was not immediately reported due to several factors, leaving the survivors to fend for themselves in shark-infested waters. Of the almost 1,200 crewmen on board when she sank, 316 survived. Yeah, those factors were, I believe they were off course, and with it being a top-secret mission, they kept the knowledge of the details to a very, very minimum. Chinese Civil War begins. Although they fought together against the Japanese during World War II, Communist leader Mao Zedong and Nationalist leader, Chiang Kai-shek were soon at war over ideology, as always is the way. Peace talks had been ongoing since August 28th, but broke down October 10th. Mao's troops were backed by the Soviets, who provided them with captured Japanese weapons, and that is right around the time the Cold War, especially between the U.S. and the USSR, really kicked into gear. Hey, Stan the Man Musial enlists. What a great photo of him. It's a great-looking card. After leading the Cardinals to 3 straight World Series appearances and winning 2, it appeared as if Stan Musial was going to be inducted into the Army. Despite pleas from Pete Reiser to join the Army and help the Army baseball team, Stan joined the Navy and was assigned to a launch unit in Pearl Harbor. Oof. We got Tsutomu Yamaguchi. That name rings a bell, but I can't remember why. Okay, probably in all the readings I was doing. A resident of Nagasaki, Yamaguchi was on a business trip from Mitsubishi in the city of Hiroshima on August 5th, 1945. He was that's why I remember the name. He was less than 2 miles from ground zero when the atomic bomb exploded, leaving him burned and temporarily blind. He made his way home to Nagasaki after the blast and was once again less than 2 miles from ground zero when the city had the atomic bomb dropped on it. Amazingly, he lived to age 93, dying in the year 2010. Man, at that point, start buying lottery tickets. Oh, here's a big one in the annals of U.S. naval history. Admiral William F. Halsey Jr., Bull Halsey. Not since the rank of Admiral of the Navy expired with the death of George Dewey in 1917, there had been a 5-star Admiral in the U.S. Navy. Beginning in 1944, a total of 4 were promoted. Fleet Admiral William Halsey Jr. was confirmed December 11th, 1945. We got, you know what? I showed the checklist to one of my friends, and she said, "You know what? This makes sense. Paul Brown is the Axis." That's funny. She said, "You're going to get the Paul Brown card," and I did. Paul Brown agrees to coach expansion team in Cleveland. That's why he's the Axis power. The head coach at Ohio State could not turn down the money being offered by the upstart AAFC, that is the All-American Football Conference, one of the entities that was later absorbed into the NFL. To challenge the NFL, Brown's team would be the cream of the crop of the AAFC, as they would go on to win all 4 AAFC championships and compile a 47-4-3 regular season record over those 4 years. The Browns' overwhelming dominance helped lead to the downfall of the league. It's true, because then the NFL poached them. Penultimate pack, then we're going for our relic, or thick card. I don't know if it's a relic. I pray it is, but we don't know. But we're going to find out. So far, we've had all kinds of history. Oh, I see another numbered. Yes, I do. Numbered red. Yoink. Firebombing of Tokyo. That's just terrible. War is hell. So many people have said it. General Sherman, I think, was one of the first to say it back in the Civil War. A total of 334 B-29 Superfortress bombers departed for the Operation Meeting House raids March 9th, 1945. Good God. They dropped almost 1,700 tons of incendiary weapons on Tokyo that night. With the city constructed mostly of wood, over 12 square miles of the city was destroyed in the raids and over 100,000 people killed. War is hell. What does it really accomplish, people? That's right. Think about it. Not much. Here we go. We've seen the NHL championship, and it is a numbered red out of 199. Let's go. Toronto. What are these? What does it say? Uniform relic. Insert ratios on average per pack. That tells me nothing. But it's all right. We continue on. Here we go. The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, the 1945 championship. The Rockford Peaches beat the Fort Wayne Daisies 4-1 to win the first of their 4 AAGPBL championships. Behind star pitcher Caroline Morris, who went 28-12 with a 1.08 ERA, including a perfect game. Good God. They were also the first team to win the regular season and postseason championships, the same year. That's right, the Rockford Peaches were good. We got football, Charlie Trippi, who I actually got to sign an autograph for me a few years ago. I think he died not that long ago. He was 99, maybe 100. But Charlie Trippi from the University of Georgia, born in Pittston, Pennsylvania, not far from where these cards are printed, actually. I don't think. Pottstown, Pittston, I can't remember. It's out east. Charlie Trippi left the University of Georgia after 2 seasons to serve in the Army Air Corps during World War II. While serving in the war, Charlie was drafted first overall by the Chicago Cardinals, with the agreement that he could return to college to finish his education prior to playing in the NFL. He returned to college for the 1945 and 1946 season before graduating and reporting to the Cardinals in 1947, where he would help them win the championship his rookie year. And that is why Charlie Trippi was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The U.S. joins the United Nations. Oh boy. Well, that's for a different time. The Senate approved the United States joining the UN with a vote of 89-2. Only Henrik Shipstead of Minnesota and Wild Bill Langer of North Dakota voted against joining the UN because of their isolationist beliefs. The United Nations was the first international governmental organization to receive significance from support from the United Nations. Its forerunner, the League of Nations, was never ratified by the U.S. Congress. Moving along. Ooh, sports ticket. The MLB World Series. Man, that is cool. Somebody out there has to have one of these. Stooks, baseball cards, collectibles, and curiosities staring in your direction. You probably have something like this. Sticking to wartime travel restriction schedules, the Detroit Tigers lost 2 of 3 at home and were headed to Chicago where, if all 4 were necessary, the final 4 games of the series would be played. Interesting. After winning the first 2 in Chicago to take a 3-2 series lead, the Tigers lost Game 6 in 12 innings. Although out-hit in Game 7, pitcher Hal Newhouser limited the runs and allowed Detroit to win 9-3 to take the World Series. A little bit of a misprint. Come on, guys. We're putting out some good stuff. Let's spell check this stuff. Let's have some pride in our work. FDR, 4th term. Pardon me. Once again, America held the course of never-changing leaders during wartime. Franklin Roosevelt was elected to an unprecedented fourth term, solidly defeating fellow New Yorker Thomas Dewey, who was sworn into office January 20th, 1945. Due to austerity measures in effect during World War II, the inauguration was held on the south portico of the White House. The parade and other festivities were canceled as well. You would think, like, festivities during, especially in early 1945, when the war was really reaching its crux. Hiroshima. Man, we're getting all the... Yeah, there's the notes. The Enola pilot, the Enola Gay. That was the plane. In order to avoid the invasion of Japan and an estimated 1 million U.S. casualties, President Truman made the decision to authorize the bombing of Hiroshima with a nuclear weapon. Hiroshima was chosen because it was an industrial center. The bomb was nicknamed Little Boy, was dropped on the city 8:15 a.m. August 5th. Plus, it wasn't that densely populated because if you think about it, if the U.S. had wanted to, they would have just dropped it right in the middle of Tokyo, and that would have been the end of Japan. Thankfully, as horrifying as this sounds, thankfully the lesser of the evils kind of prevailed. It was one of those things that needed to be done, so you try. That's why war is ridiculous. When you have to use the phrase, try to minimize civilian casualties, we shouldn't be doing this. That is all I'm going to say. It's been the way of the land since more than two people have existed on this planet, and sadly will continue. Hey, another actor, Cary Grant. Cary Grant was known for his romantic and comedic film roles, starring in over 70 films in a career that spanned from 1932 to 1966. He played opposite some of Hollywood's leading ladies at the time, including Doris Day, Sophia Loren, and Grace Kelly. Although not serving in the armed forces, Grant was awarded the King's Medal for services in the cause of freedom for donating his salary from multiple films to the war effort. I do remember reading that. The final card of the penultimate pack, take a drink. Oh, the Yalta Conference. That was what a trio that is. The conference at Yalta was the second of 3 wartime conferences between the U.S., England, and Russia. Among the results of this conference was the resolution that only an unconditional surrender of Germany would be accepted, and that post-war Germany would be divided into zones occupied by different Allied governments. Just a mess. All right, we're going to block whatever the big thick boy is. I don't know, so we're going to leave it there. There we go. Jackson Pollock. Jackson Pollock was an American abstract expressionist painter known for his style of painting called action painting that involved layering splashed paint on large horizontal canvases, enabling him to work from all angles. He described his own work as motion-made visible memories arrested in space. In 1945, he produced both Night Mist and Troubled Queen, in addition to getting married to fellow artist Lee Krasner. I'm sorry. I know they say you don't know art, but you know what you like. Splatter and all this stuff that's going on, I'm sorry, not art. In my opinion. Burma Road reopened. A key supply route to China and Chiang Kai-shek. The Japanese invaded Burma, which is Myanmar, in 1942 to stem the flow of supplies to Chinese troops. After this point, any supplies provided to the Chinese had to be flown from India over the Himalayas. January 28, 1945, the Japanese were gone from Burma, and the road to supply China on Japan's western front was reopened. There we go, a couple more. Oh, there's a big one. We got Philippe Pétain. Do not recognize the face. The name's arrested for treason. World War I general and French hero of the Verdun. World War I general, Pétain attempted to plead for a ceasefire with Germany, with the German army, as they rolled across the north of France. The Nazi government accepted the surrender of Pétain, and he became the puppet head of Vichy France. After liberation of France by the Allies, and he was captured, tried for treason, and convicted. His death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment by President Charles de Gaulle, but his rank and honors were revoked, save the distinction of Marshal of France. And then the last card, and then we go to the thick one. Dwight David Eisenhower, General and future POTUS. From the founding of the United States to the outbreak of World War II, only 4 individuals had obtained the rank of General of the Army. That would be 5 stars. In late December of 1944, 8 individuals were elevated to the 5-star rank and would hold it for the entirety of 1945. Dwight Eisenhower, the 1915 graduate of West Point, would obtain the rank on December 20th, 1944, and would hold the rank until his retirement to run for president. And our final card in this absolutely amazing box, and I know this is a long one, but trust me, if you stuck through the whole thing, it's going to be a lot of fun. But we have a very thick, slapnuts level. Okay, so what do we got? We got 1945. We got a Famali. We got one of the actresses. Who be you? And what be you? More to the point, it looks like a locker. Is it Gene Tierney? Oh, okay. Gene Tierney, Yank. Oh, it's, Yank. Oh, with a quarter. Congratulations. You have received an authentic Washington quarter minted in 1945. Look at that. And I thought I heard something in a Gene Tierney little thing. What are you? Is that? Yep. Can't really see it, but yep, there it is. 1945. What in the world? All right, we got to look and see what that is. It's not a challenge coin. It's not a printing plate. Oh, here you go. 1945 U.S. coin card. 1 in 97 packs. +3 numbered. Ton of history. Odds were destroyed, and I had an absolute blast. I hope you did as well. That is incredible. Hit of the box. The 1945 coin. 1 in 97 packs. Goodbye, odds. Hello, history. And hello, the upcoming week. Haha. I'm going to go not talk for the rest of the day because that was a lot. Hopefully you enjoyed this because I absolutely did. It was a lot of fun. Keep on enjoying. Oh, I think I got to try to get more of these. Or if they continue to do... I know they did other sets as well. But the 1945 end of World War II, absolutely awesome. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you in the next one.